All right. Pin that up top. Okay. Oh. I didn't post that it was streaming day on Twitter. Give me a second. You get to watch me type. Ooh. There we go. That'll do. Okay. Hey, everybody. Hope you're all doing well. Gozer, I heard you got the job. Congratulations. I'm very glad to hear that. I have a new cup. Adulting is too complicated. Time to be a unicorn. So. I think I shall. Hope everybody is doing well. Hope that April is treating folks okay so far. I am not particularly looking forward to the weekend because Boston Globe had to go and declare my particular neck of the woods in Vermont as the best place in New England to go to see the eclipse. So the surrounding area is expected to be flooded by people coming to see the eclipse. Probably, well, no, definitely in excess of the local population, possibly double the local population. So I gotta like make sure the car is full of gas. I gotta do my shopping early. I might have to try and talk my kid out of some of our normal ordering out, or at least bumping them to other days, because that's all probably going to be backed up. Yeah, I'm not thrilled. I'm not thrilled about this. But whatever. Is what it is. Plague of tourists. If that is not the collective noun for tourists, it should be. A plague of tourists. Hui. See, the thing is, Sir Jedi Sentinel, the leaf peepers do not come in that volume. Like, they're annoying. The main reason the leaf peepers are annoying is they have a tendency to just pull over on the side of the road whenever they find a nice view to like get out of their car and take pictures. And it's not always a place where it's smart for them to pull off the road. That's kind of the main issue with leaf peepers. But the overall volume of them is nowhere near what we are being forecasted to have to deal with. So, how bad's the pollen up? It's not too bad. Not specifically where I am. There are some areas where like I'm going to be avoiding for a little bit. But yeah, tis the season. Excuse me. Tis the season. So glad April Fool's is over. Honestly, I didn't run into too much nonsense. Granted, at this point, I largely surround myself with people who share my view that April Fools and pranks in general are garbage, and 99 times out of 100 is a awful thing that awful people do, and try to get away with it by saying it's a joke. So, I wasn't going to run into too much. So, let me preface by saying doing a fake pregnancy announcement, not okay. However, I will say I had one friend who did a fake pregnancy announcement that I did think was funny, and it was funny because she's a trans woman. So that I got a kick out of. Also, if you're not a town set up for accommodating tourists, we're not devoid of tourist accommodations, just not on this scale. Oh, hey, Meg. It's good to see you. Now I don't feel so lonely drinking. Cheers. Mm. Ah. Isaac, thank you very much for the super chat. I greatly appreciate it. And yeah, I'm doing pretty well, all things considered. Wish on Disney Plus tomorrow? I mean, are you asking me if it is? Because that's my understanding. It is on Disney Plus tomorrow. Plush? It's on Disney Plus. So the people are just going to go in there and stream it. And the people who didn't go see it in the theater, they're gonna get to say it shucked. Now, if you're asking if I plan to review it, no, no, I don't. Like, I might get to it eventually. I'm sure as heck I'm not jumping on it right away. Hate April Fool's Day. Oh yeah, yeah. Like, and that's the thing. So many pranks just amount to lying to somebody and then laughing at them when they realize you're lying. Why is like I do not understand where the humor is in that. Like I don't say 100% of the time, because I think there are some circumstances, specifically if you're doing it to people who you have that kind of relationship with, that kind of dynamic with, you kind of do it to each other. Like that's fine. I would request you not do that to me. But if you have friends who, like, they are going to go, oh, good one, you got me, like, cool. Have your fun. Do it very far away from me. I think I read the first Peter Rabbit book, like, God, it's probably 5 or 6. Yeah, I don't remember too much about it. Am I reviewing Wish? I mean, if I ever see it, I might. The question is if I ever bother watching it. Do you have any thoughts on the recently announced Sins film? No. Like, it seems like they missed the window. Like, the best way to do The Sims is to go meta with it, because what the hell else are you doing otherwise? And then, like, the Lego movie beat them to that punch, and then Barbie especially. Like, doing the meta thing is already played out. So I think they just missed the window. Now, if they were to do the entire movie in Simlish, you'd have my attention. Disney Plus is now also the streamer for the Macross anime franchise, except for the original 1982 series outside of Japan. Streaming rights are so annoying. So Babylon 5, which I'm reviewing with Jesse over on my podcast, the entire run of the show is on Tubi. The entire run of the show is on Tubi. The made-for-TV or direct-to-VHS movies that are part of Babylon 5, those aren't on there. So it's streaming rights are so annoying. The most upsetting April Fool for me recently was when Criterion said they were releasing a Blu-ray set of Ed Wood's films. Like, yeah, companies don't do that. It's not fun. If I had $1 for every time a YouTuber's April Fool's Day joke was, I'm quitting YouTube, just kidding. Yeah, I've only done an April Fool's Day YouTube video once, and I don't think I'll ever do one better than that. So I'm good. I'm good. I'm happy to leave it at that. Wouldn't a Sims movie just be real life with more people pissing themselves? I mean, it depends on what your base level is with your friends. No, I've never been to San Diego Comic-Con as Wicked Wolf, and I've gone on record repeatedly. I have no interest in ever doing so. That, like, something of that size and scope, no. I would not have fun. I would be stressed the whole time. Once when I was a teenager, I woke my brother up at midnight on April 1st, told him someone stole his indoor gym equipment from our garage. All right, so I am not judging you as a person, 255. But if you had done that to me, it would have gone over very badly. Again, I'm not saying you can't do that to people, but you need to be sure you have the relationship and the dynamic where they will appreciate it for what it is. And if you aren't certain you have that, don't do it. So I'm going to assume you had that relationship. But yeah, that is the kind of stuff that, if done to me, I like. Not only do I not find humor in it, I get actively pissed off. And not because, like, it's the worst thing in the world you ever did, but, like, I don't find it funny, and I feel like you're laughing at my pain. And even if that pain is minor, it's a mild inconvenience, I don't enjoy my pain being laughed at. It's the same core reason I hate cringe humor. Like, they say comedy is rooted in pain. Like, there is a difference between comedic pain and just there is nothing but a person's individual personal pain on display, and we're meant to laugh at it. I don't find it funny. Have I watched Renegade Nell on Disney Plus? It's pretty good. I've heard that. I would like to. I don't know if I will. Like, there's so many shows that, like, that looks good. I don't have time to watch it. Like, that's the story of my life at this point. Supreme Omega, thank you very much for the super chat. Are you tired of lower tier superheroes and supporting characters being regularly killed off gruesomely in events? For me, it's a fake way of raising the stakes. Okay, so I'm assuming you're talking about superhero comic events. Yeah. It's cheap. It is disrespectful because often it treats these characters as if they have no value but to die. But a lot of these characters, even the obscure ones, will have fans. There will be people who wanted to see more from them, and you're not killing them to wring drama and wring a better story than you could have told with them being alive. You're killing them because you don't care. And yeah, I think fans are largely right to be ticked off about it. And generally, it's often done with extreme casualness that just rubs me the wrong way. The April Fool that Matt Smith was coming back as the 16th Doctor. Businesses, you're not people. Don't prank. That one I will put my foot down on. If you are a business, if you're a corporation, if you're a broadcaster, if you're a studio, if you're a video game company, if you're a food manufacturer, I don't care what it is. You're not a person. You don't get to prank. Stop it. I agree. I'd not do it again. That works. Yeah, I'm not going to read through that, Ms. Wicked Wolf. I have no interest in family YouTuber activities, drama, or anything else. I'm just tired of event comics in general. Honestly, event comics were what put me off comics in the frickin' 90s. It was X-Men specifically, because, like, everything was a frickin' event. It's like, and now it's time for this crossover and that crossover between, like, 6 different X-related books. Now it's Age of Apocalypse. I'm like, stop. I'm done. I walk away. And that was in the mid-90s. Are there any superheroes that ever got a happy ending? Not in terms of, like, characters who you would think of as superheroes. The only ones who are ever permitted to have a happy ending are ones that had limited runs and were not brought back. And that's generally going to be something in independent comics. Because superheroes are not permitted to have endings, period. Not in the big 2, at least. Not in Marvel, not in DC. Because they have to keep doing it. Or they get rebooted. So, like, I guess the closest you come to a happy ending is if a character pre-reboot was in a good place and then they haven't resurfaced post-reboot. I'm not sure I'd count that. But you could if with a little creative accounting, I suppose. Sometimes it feels like comic writers are just making their crappy fanfic canon out of sheer spite. The thing is, I don't think a lot of it is spite. I think a lot of it is apathy. I think they don't care. I mean, I can point to Tom King and um uh what was it? Heroes in Crisis as like the epitome of this, and we know for a fact this is what happened. Um but it while I can't prove that this was the case in a lot of other event comics that killed important characters, it feels like the case a lot of the time, which is that in Heroes in Crisis, which is a horrible event comic, it is atrociously bad. And yeah, it is a horrible depiction and view on mental illness. It's not good on the basic fundamentals of storytelling, and it kills so many characters. So many characters. And Tom King was upfront about the fact that he didn't pick the characters that he killed. He had a story in mind, and he went to DC editorial and said, "This is the story I want to tell. Who can I kill?" And they gave him a list. And most of these characters he knew nothing about. He didn't care about. He didn't select them because he thought there was emotional weight or pathos or anything else about them. He asked, "Who can I kill?" And he got a list, and he killed them. And you can tell because repeatedly he gets stuff wrong about them in the comics. Like they claim to have catchphrases they never had. The continuity is all weird in that event, and it's very clear he just didn't care. He didn't care. And like that's on record, he didn't care. He didn't care who he killed. He just wanted to kill people. In that story, I don't think Tom King is a real life murderer. What's my favorite work of Arthurian storytelling? Ooh, that is an interesting one, John Vinyls. See, what's fun about Arthur and Arthurian legend is it really does run the gamut. Like you can go for something more lighthearted, like The Sword and the Stone. You can go epic, like Excalibur. I still want to see The Green Knight, which I haven't. Heck, even Camelot was quite good when I finally got around to seeing that. I don't know. I'm not sure I could pick a favorite because for me it's a bit like Robin Hood, in that I just enjoy the feel and the energy and the atmosphere of these stories, and I'm a sucker for them. Like I'm a sucker for Robin Hood. I'm a sucker for Arthurian stories, and unless you completely botch it, I'm probably gonna have a good time. So I'm not sure I could pick a single favorite. I think I'm not saying this is good, but I think my nostalgic favorite might actually be the Merlin miniseries with Sam Neill. Because I watched that in high school, and it was kind of other than Sword in the Stone, it was like my first real sense of the scope. Well, yeah, because Sword in the Stone doesn't really give you a sense of the scope. Sword in the Stone was my first introduction to Arthurian legend, but like Merlin gave me a sense of the scope and the breadth of what was encompassed by those legends, and I will always appreciate it for that. Now, it's not the same as the Merlin BBC TV show. I've never seen that one. Let's see. So if Holly wasn't affected by the ink from the Despair Squid, how come Rimmer and Crichton were? I'm going to assume that it was because it required access to them physically. It's not about Holly being a computer. It's about Holly being an AI with no definitive physical thing to attack. That's what I'm going to say it was, Rowan. That was a Red Dwarf question for people who didn't know. Did I visit the set where they were filming Beetlejuice? No. I'd like visiting sets of where they're filming stuff. It's boring. If you've ever been to the set or like a location where stuff's being shot, it's real boring. If you're not involved in it, it's dull as hell. All right, let's see. Have you watched the Quiet on Set Dark Sides of Kids TV documentary? No, Mr. Zaki Boy, and I do not plan to. I'm sure it's very good. I'm glad that it is exposing stuff that has been quiet for as long as it has. Don't like I don't have a personal investment because I didn't grow up on that era of Nickelodeon. I was done with that kind of TV by the time most of the stuff that show was about was going on. And I just don't. Documentaries about real life atrocity is not a genre I'm keen on. I'm sure it's very good. I don't really want to watch it. Robin's very anti-capitalist and he's the rich kind of fox. Oh, the Disney one. Well, I mean, like, Robin Hood by his nature is mostly anti-capitalist, depending on the version. There are some that are a little dicey, depending on how much attachment he has to his own either previous or lost wealth or what have you. But, I mean, Robin Hood's just fun. On the other hand, I thought King's Mr. Miracle was pretty good as a standalone story. I've heard people say that Tom King is a good writer sometimes. I'm not going to say that they're liars. I am going to say I don't think I would agree. Because, like, I was also told that Brian Azzarello was a good writer. And he's not. I've read some of the stuff that is supposed to be his good stuff. It's not good. It's only good occasionally if he does not come within 500 yards of a female character. And even then, I don't think he's very good. I think his stuff is hack as hell and mean and cruel, kind of gross. So I'm kind of at a point where if enough of a writer's work has rubbed me the wrong way, I'm not necessarily going to call you a liar if you tell me they've written some good stuff. It's just not the stuff I've read. I won't call you a liar, but I will say I doubt I'd agree with you. Second worst thing I've done to my brother. The other is when I was 4 and my mom told me to make him up for a trip to the airport at 5 a.m. and I opted to pull his eyes open. Oh! Boy, am I glad I didn't have siblings. Need to do a double feature of the Green Knight and Sword of the Valiant. Ooh, that would be fun, Caroline. I would love that. Do you like the Knights of the Round Table? I mean, are you asking in the broad sense, or is that the title of something? Because if it's the title of something, I probably haven't seen it. It was partly her fault for trusting a 4-year-old to wake someone up in a non-shitty way. I mean, there is that. Do I like Pop-Tarts? Not especially. Have you ever read the webcomic Kill 6 Billion Demons? I've never even heard of it. I haven't read a webcomic in ages. Who's my favorite Greek deity? Dionysus. Followed by Persephone. And then probably Artemis. Then maybe Athena. Once when I was 8, I was on holiday. At age 7, I deliberately pushed another kid over on a slippery rock at the beach. You sound like you were lots of fun as a kid, 255. Vera, more than once you mentioned things rubbing you the wrong way. Can you tell us what the right way would entail? Meg? I know what you're doing. To go into specifics would get me in trouble with monetization. Which Carolyn pointed out as well. Have I ever tried to make a stuffed Oreo? I can't remember. I might have. What would I do as a parent if your kid did that? I have no idea. I'm not generally a good person to ask what if your kid blah questions. It's a bit like asking me, what will you think if Doctor Who does X? And I know that's a weird comparison to make to parenting, but I'm like, I don't know, I'll have an opinion if it actually happens. Otherwise, I'm not really going to plan in advance for what I would or wouldn't do. My kid didn't do stuff like that, and I'm grateful for it. And I don't really want to, or I don't think I'm even that capable of thinking about what I would do, excuse me, or what I would have done if that had happened. So, oh, now I got hiccups. I read the Orpheus issue of Sandman. Well, that's an 18 certificate for that episode of the show. I mean, they've already done some stories that, like, deal with some nasty stuff, and they found a way to portray it within the limits. Like the one dealing with the Muse, with Calliope, that was like a bonus episode for the first season. That was some nasty stuff, and they found a really intelligent way to portray, to make clear what was happening without having to depict it. They might be able to pull something similar for Orpheus. Your kid didn't bring back David Tennant as the 14th Doctor. I think my kid barely knows what Doctor Who is, and they aggressively don't care. Have you been watching the Invincible adaptation? Nope. Heard it's great. Haven't had time. Like with so many things. Ugh. Anyway, if we're on Greek mythology, read the comics Epicurus the Sage. Oh! I have that one. Coyote, that's because I like Sam Keith's art. So I've got that one over in the library. Could probably dig it out. Most overrated film or show. I don't know. Show, I really don't know. Movie, I mean, probably The Shining, but I'll be getting into that later this year. Ugh. Discord. Yes, thank you, Carolyn. I got to hop on over to the Discord. I will be back in a minute. Reminder that the Council of Geeks Discord is a Patreon exclusive perk. I'm going to check questions from over there. Feel free to talk amongst yourselves. If you want to drop something that I will actually see when I come back, Super Chat's your best way to do that. Anyways, what do we got? Do you think it's odd that Warner Brothers hasn't in all these years tried doing a serious reboot of Space Ghost? We've had a comic by DC doing it, and Dynamite Comics is doing a new one. So why not in animation? Short answer, animation is more expensive. Comic books are not expensive to produce. So it's not that big a financial risk to throw something out on that. Versus producing animation, that's significantly more expensive. And I think at this point, more people recognize Space Ghost as a satirical character rather than a serious one. And I would imagine that the purse string holders, assuming that there was even a pitch to try and do that, that's the other thing. You need to remember that while sometimes it is true that the suits decide, the suits are like, we should make this, and they go and find a director, a lot of the more niche and oddball stuff, somebody has to show up with a pitch to say, hey, here's how I would do this, will you let me? And so assuming anybody even had a pitch for that, that is what I would imagine would be the reason to not do it. Do you think that with Westerns making a strong resurgence, are they? News to me. We'll see a resurgence of sword and sorcery. I doubt it. Because here's the thing. At least to my awareness, like, Westerns making a comeback is stuff like Yellowstone and stuff connected to that. That's expensive. That's expensively high-end produced. The thing about sword and sorcery is sword and sorcery was the cheap fantasy. And I don't think there really is anyone who's going to jump on that to produce cheaper, more down and gritty stuff. And I think those who would want to aren't going to have the funds to make it look good enough. Because at this point, the effects and the expectations of fantasy, even sword and sorcery fantasy, is going to be way higher than the budget of what those who probably would want to do it would allow for. I've seen an argument for making She-Hulk less promiscuous and in turn play down her musculature. What do you think on this matter? Bad ideas. Both. I'm pretty sure she is the most promiscuous heroic character in the Marvel lineup, and good for her. She should have all the fun she wants. She's an adult. And as far as like making her less muscular, all right, screw it. I'll just swear. Fuck off. You want a character with less defined musculature, less built up and bulked? Read any other fucking female character in Marvel. You've got options. Let us have something else. Jesus, that ticks me off. That's some entitled bullshit. You know, she should be less promiscuous and have less defined musculature. So she should be like every other goddamn character in the lineup. Great. Let's make her not unique in any frickin' way. Why? Oh, whoever's suggesting that. It's like those people who put out like photoshopped images of like women protagonists in video games, but they've like fixed it, i.e. by photoshopping on makeup, like with Aloy from Horizon or with Lara Croft. And they're like, there, I fixed it, I made it better. Like, no, it's got that same feel. Gross. What are some people you would want to see as showrunner for Doctor Who after RTD, and why? This is a great question that I don't know how to answer. Unfortunately, this kind of falls under the same umbrella as speculation. I'm bad at it, and I can't really wrangle my brain to do it. For the same reason that I can't really like make predictions about what stories they're going to do. I can't really, because I can't get my brain to get out of the headspace of just wait and see what they do and have an opinion on that. Stop it. And I can't really stop my brain from going, just wait and see who the next showrunner is and let it be that. Stop it. Like, I don't know. I mean, Neil Gaiman would be an interesting pick. I'm not sure I'd actually want him to do the full. I'd love him to come back and write another episode, but so I don't know. It's a great question. I'm a bad person to ask. Was rereading the comedian Dave Mitchell's autobiography today. When he was at Cambridge in the 1990s, he was head of the Cambridge Footlights. I've heard of them. The university's famous comedy group that like half of all well-known British comedians were in at some point. He says that when he was about 20, another student slept with him because she got off on sleeping with famous people at the university. What do you think of the ethics of people with fame / notoriety doing something like that with a fan? I'm not sure your anecdote fits your question, because your anecdote is about someone who wasn't famous yet, who was sleeping with someone who just seemed to be hoping that they could claim they slept with someone famous when he later became famous. So I'm not sure I could call that leveraging his fame to take advantage of a fan, which is the inherent issue in general with famous people interacting in that way with fans. Even fans who want that to happen, and there are probably many, it is an imbalance of power that is not dissimilar to a boss having an affair with an employee, and the ethics are not great just because of the nature of that dynamic. How come Americans, even those who claim to be patriotic, will sometimes actively put down other Americans when arguing why progressive ideas that work abroad can't work in the U.S.? Because Americans are never what they claim to be. Americans are not as patriotic as they claim to be. They're not as progressive as they claim to be. They're not as freedom-loving as they claim to be. America has never been what America says it is. Ever. The other day, I watched a video where an American was reacting to a video about a town in the UK where they had stalls around town where people can pick up and drop off food and other goods for free. He said he liked the idea, but thought Americans were too selfish for something like that to work in town in the US. We have that in my town. There's one by a church where I live, and there's one in Montpelier where a friend of mine lives. Like, we literally have them. So that guy's talking out of his ass. Last season of The Boys had a message about being impossible to reform the system. I think I agree with that, but do you think it's Kind of a problem that if you're writing a mainstream show set in a sort of present day America, that's the message, since you can't take it to its logical conclusion. Like, as soon as I realized The Boy was going down that track, I realized that we're going to have to walk it back somewhat or give the series a bleak ending, because if you accept that logic, the only happy ending could come with some kind of revolution. I imagine Amazon wouldn't be cool with a show that ends with overthrowing the U.S. government and probably capitalism as well. I mean, they might if they think it'll sell. I mean, I'll come back to what I said about Barbie. If they think it'll get them the attention they want, they'll fully stamp and co-sign and sign off on a subversive thing that might seem counter to their interests and their intent, because it's just a product that they can sell. If they think they can sell it, they will. So I don't know what they'll do. I've been watching that show. Now, if they do chicken out on it, yeah, call them cowards for it. You shouldn't bring it up if you're not going to pay it off, but they might. That won't make it any more authentic, because it still gets signed off by corporates. How long do you think it'll take before Doctor Who's Mavity thing will get resolved? I don't think it's a plot point to get resolved. I think it's something that will continue to be done until there is a showrunner who doesn't care enough to go out of their way to keep it going. Why do you think so many conservative reviewers are praising Dune 2 for being anti-woke despite its obvious anti-colonialist and environmental messaging? Because if you do a bad surface level reading of it, it's about a handsome white guy who is inherently special and who fixes everything. Of course they like that. Now, is that what Dune actually is? No. But that's what a surface level reading of Dune will get you. So that's probably it. Do you think it's a problem that the International Transgender Day of Visibility falls so close to Easter and April Fool's Day? What date would you have it fall on if you had a choice? No, I don't think that's a problem, because April Fool's Day should be discontinued anyway, and Easter is a goddamn roving holiday. What are we supposed to carve out like a freaking month because this damn holiday won't make up its damn mind? No, absolutely not. When you write, do you have a favorite format or style? When I write for fun, I tend to write in surprisingly comic book script format, because I personally like visual storytelling somewhat more than prose. There is no accepted standard comic book script style. Depends on whether I'm sketching out ideas or whether I'm actually trying to write a scene. If I'm gonna write a scene or write a chapter, I'm going to sit down and write it as prose. I'm going to write it as a finished piece. If I'm just jotting down notes and random ideas, then I'm probably going to only jot down the dialogue, because that tends to be how my brain frames a loose idea, is around how people talk to each other about it. Coffee or tea, which type or brands do you prefer? I like both. I'm trying to get back on tea over coffee. I'm trying to back off coffee. I like black teas. I like Earl Grey. I like Lady Grey a lot. That one's quite good. I don't really like fruity teas though. I like herbal tea, black tea especially. Are there any tabletop RPGs that pique your interest that you wouldn't say no to playing if your group brought it up? I mean, I can't imagine there'd be any that I would say no to if it were to be brought up by the group that I've been playing with, because I love that group, and if they say it's good, I'll at least give it a shot. What is my real world Pangalactic Gargle Blaster? Oh, I'm trying to think of how to even approach that question. Are you asking me what's the drink I should get away from but can't, or the drink that absolutely obliterates me? Because either one, absinthe knocked me on my ass. Oh, no, I know what it is. Jello shots. Jello shots are my Pangalactic Gargle Blaster. They knock me on my ass, and I shouldn't touch them, but I do. Are you thinking of doing a reaction to the episode titles for the upcoming series? No, I actually, the extent to which I have anything to say about them, I said in the trailer reaction that I did to the most recent trailer. So I kind of tacked that in there. Which video have you made that you most wish had really taken off, but for some reason didn't? There's a lot I could pull for that. I mean, probably the Ghostbusters 2 video. I was real proud of that. And it just did nothing. Anyways, coming back to the stream. Any interest in writing a movie script? Yes and no. Yes, insofar as I would be delighted to work in a script format. No, insofar as I wouldn't do it for fun because I do not have the means to get a movie made. So it would just be a script that would sit there. And like I kind of already went through this with the play that I wrote because I was never able to get that staged. So like, and not to say that I regret writing the play. I'm still quite happy with that. But with the movie script even more so, I would love to get hired to write a script. I would love to get commissioned to write a script. That would be amazing. Would I write one for fun? Probably not, because then, like, what the hell do I do with it afterwards? It's not a dress, Ms. Wicked Wolf. It is only a top. And I may or may not be wearing anything below the waist. I probably shouldn't have said that. Oh, well. Thank you, John Vinyls, for the super chat. Have you gotten a chance to watch Haley's On It? No. Do I know what that is? I feel like somebody asked me about that before, and I had to look it up. Okay. Oh, Disney Plus animated? No, I have no clue what that is. I've never even heard of that, I don't think. Hope you enjoyed the cat. Yes, it was appreciated, 255. When's the Council of Geeks movie coming? Somebody commission it. You haven't gotten that play staged yet. Look, I would not want to direct it because I haven't directed theater since college. I wouldn't say no to being in it. It would be amazing if it ever got staged. At least I hope it would be amazing. That'd be setting myself up for disappointment. So who knows? Coyote Azul coming in with the super chat. Awesome that you have a copy of Epicurus the Sage. I'll have to dig my copy out of my storage shed. I like Sam Keith. I like his art. He has a very unique look. And I especially, I like the way he draws women. I don't think he's ever drawn a woman that was meant to be beautiful who didn't have a bit of a belly. The way that he exaggerates bodies for me is very interesting as an artist. I've ever played Battleship? Probably not since grade school. Is it worth worrying about having been a shitty little kid? No. I don't even have to read the rest of the comment. No, it's not. Just like it's not worth worrying about having been a shitty teenager or a shitty person in your 20s. At least I hope it's not worth worrying about, because if I should be worrying about it, I'm screwed. Would you ever make a full cast audio drama of your book? Only if somebody else was going to edit it. I am taking long enough to edit the goddamn audiobook. Would I be open to it being made? Oh yeah, absolutely. Would I make it? No. Even if I had the funds and the means, no. I would not, because I don't want the workload. Would it be cool to have the end product? Sure. Would I be the one to do it? No. Would you ever make a bit of fiction designed to work within the confines of YouTube, similar to what Jesse Gender did a couple of years back? Maybe. Like, I had an idea for, honestly, the idea for what it was changed like 5 times. Because initially it was like short film idea, and then I started working on it as a novel. Then I considered retuning it as a narrative podcast. It could work in a visual medium. Like, I have at least one idea that could do that. Again, I don't have the time, the means, and in my personal opinion, the talent to execute that. Not to a degree that it'd be worth the time I would sink into it. How do I think of ideas for your videos? Any tips on brainstorming? Write down literally every idea you have. When you have it, write it down. And go back to that list often. Because sometimes ideas will just come to you. Like, something will happen. You'll watch something. You'll think about something. Somebody will say something. There'll be some kind of announcement of something that'll click in your brain and you go, ooh, here's here's an angle I can talk about that from, or that makes me think of this. Ooh, I could talk about that. But seriously, write down every idea you ever have. Because if you think, oh, I'll remember that. No, you won't. Well, I won't. I have ADHD. But at the same time, like, that's my top piece of advice. I have no idea. I write no ideas down. Just hope the good ones stay. Yeah, they won't, Matt. You won't even remember that you had some of the good ones. What would life be like if you were tipsy 24/7 for a year? Would it be enjoyable? I wonder what it would be like. It'd get old quick. It would get old by day 3. Seems like we have gotten on a bit of a alcohol kick for conversation. Don't know how that topic possibly came up. Sometimes I wait for an idea to formulate for a few days before writing it down. No, I don't. I can't trust it'll be there in the morning. Still have the idea for a planet of monkeys that have based their religion around the entire works of Shakespeare. Interesting. Do I like the song Both Sides by Joni Mitchell? I don't even know that song, Ms. Wicked Wolf. I mean, without even drinking, just that state of mind. No. It would still get old after 4 days. Like, and here's why I feel very confident in saying that, old web shooter. The reason I haven't smoked pot in at least a decade, possibly more, is because the last time I did, I felt like I didn't properly come down for 3 days. And that was not fun. That was not fun at all. I hated that. I haven't touched it since. The chief caretaker is possessed and is going to kill all the residents of Paradise Towers right after we give him a glass of water and a good night's rest. Oh, yeah. Oh, the chief caretaker in Paradise Towers getting possession and talking like he's drunk. And he's going to take out everyone in the tower. You're not threatening, dude. How close am I to finishing the 7th Doctor's era? I think I have 3, technically 4, because I've come to the conclusion that there were a handful of episodes that I watched and did as podcast reviews, because there was a brief period where I was doing the classic reviews on the podcast. I think that was like shortly before I started the break room of Geeks and started putting them there. So I need to redo Curse of Fenric because that only exists as a podcast. I need to do Ghostlight, Delta and the Bannermen, and Survival. So I think there's 4. And one I have seen before, but I need to rewatch. Is Cyclops too hard to write well to make him likable? Cyclops is difficult to write well because he's the team leader with a stick up his ass, which means he's boring. So, is it impossible to write him well? No. Do most of them bother trying? No, they just go for the leadership block of wood that gets depicted most of the time. So, I think Superman is generally better written than Cyclops, but I think there's a similar issue to writing Cyclops that there is to writing Superman, which is that you have to be very careful and balance him properly. The thing is, you can find a well-balanced Superman a lot more often than a well-balanced Cyclops, and that's because Cyclops is part of a team dynamic, which means he's not always getting the focus. Superman is Superman, and yes, he's on the Justice League sometimes, but he has his own solo books where he is the focus and he has to be the focus. So he gets the attention he needs to work. Scott generally does not. The trailer freaks me out. I don't watch the movie. That's a solid policy, all things considered. Somehow we're now on the topic of rolling R's. It is funny to me. Like how many people can't do that, and I don't. Don't tell Jesse. Somebody will, and I know that. But I snicker a little bit when we do our podcast records and she gets to the recap, because I can tell she would like to roll her R's and say, like, it's time for the recap, except she can't roll her R's, so it becomes time for the recap. And I exaggerated that a bit, but just because it just becomes a little bit. I can't do it properly right now. Because I've had most of a glass of wine. But what's it like to get drunk and high at the same time? Not as much fun as you'd think. Delta and the Bannerman is such a guilty pleasure of mine. It's fun. Ghostlight is an absolute mindfuck. I've seen Ghostlight once, but it was so long ago, and I was going to say I don't remember, but also from what I can tell from what other people have said about it, it wouldn't have made much difference if I did. Oh, God, the podcast review of Black Orchid. I'm glad somebody heard that. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, I know you will, Ms. Wicked Wolf. What if Gollum was Scottish? Oh, my precious. They stole my precious. What's taters, precious? We likes it raw and wriggling. That's so stupid. Stupid fat hobbit. Oh, that was so dumb. No offense, I'm trying to worry if state of the art will rival Accession. Not to say that normally, but a bit drunk too. Like, it won't. 255. I will get to it. I'm trying. Okay? I'm doing my best. Did I watch Doom Part 2? Nope, did not. Don't plan to. Try talking Spanish. Rolling L and N sound. I'm definitely not going to try and do a Spanish accent. Anyways, so for stuff coming up, earlier today I put up a video reviewing the first 3 episodes of X-Men 97. That is in the break room. I'm going to try and start reviewing that show on an episode by episode basis. I know the next episode comes out tomorrow, but I don't know what time in the day, so I don't know whether the reviews are liable to come out the same day, i.e. Wednesday, or are liable to come out on the next day, i.e. Thursday. So either tomorrow or Thursday, I'll have a review for the next episode of X-Men 97 out. Tomorrow I'll be streaming on Twitch, probably more Slay the Spire. Yeah, probably. I'm trying not to spend money on new stuff right now. So yeah, I got to work with what I have. That'll probably be it. And then Friday I'll be on Twitch again. Saturday's video here will be a rather lengthy interview with a storyboard artist who worked on Has Been Hotel. It was a fascinating conversation. I hope people will tune in for that. And I think that is everything. Thank you very much for joining me. I hope you all have a good rest of the week. I hope you have a good month of April. I'll be back here in 2 weeks with this stream. And in the meantime, be well, be safe, be kind. Please remember that you are beautiful, you are valid, and you are loved. You are the council. I am just running the meetings. And until next time, this council is adjourned. McCavity!